Is it because of Jimin? Jungkook finally opens up in the most emotional confession he's ever spoken, and the world of K-pop will never be the same again. Jimin's reaction when he heard the statement was recorded on camera, and the ARMY fell silent. Is this the end of BTS's legendary trio, Jungkook, Taeil, and Jimin? What really happens behind the scenes when a smile starts to fade? Why did Jungkook's gaze towards Taeil turn cold? And since when did Jimin start to look awkward when the three of them were in the same room? These questions flooded fan forums, analysis videos on TikTok, to Twitter's unflagging trending topics. But none of them expected that everything would be answered with a single word from Jungkook's mouth and an unexpected expression from Jimin that made time seem to stop ticking. It all started during a private documentary interview HYB conducted behind closed doors, which was later leaked out of nowhere. In what appeared to be a very emotional atmosphere, Jungkook sat in silence before finally staring into the camera. "I won't hide it anymore. It's not about the fans. It's about a friendship that I think will never be broken. But the truth is, everything is changing. And that's because of one thing, Jimin." The remark, which at first sounded like a bitter joke, turned out to be no joke. Jungkook lowered his head for a moment, and when he lifted it back up, his tears had fallen. "Taeil and I had a big fight. And it's not because we hate each other. It's because we feel betrayed by the same person." The world seemed to collapse into silence after that sentence. And I don't know who was more silent, the cameraman who filmed, the production team, or the ARMY who later watched the footage when it was leaked to social media. But one thing is most thrilling, is how Jimin reacts when shown the footage. Recorded reactions without script, without scenario, without camera switching. Jimin froze. Not a word came out. His eyes widened, and his lips trembled as if he wanted to deny, but there was no sound. Just silence. And in that silence, all the questions began to arise one by one. What is Jimin really doing? Why did Jungkook mention it as the cause of an argument between himself and Taeil, two best friends who are known to have unwavering chemistry? Does that mean the friendship is over? Or is it just a momentary burst of old wounds that never really heal? As Jungkook continues his confession, the mood changes drastically. There are things we have been hiding all this time. There's a line from Jimin that makes Taeil feel abandoned. And I know it's not entirely Jimin's fault. But when Taeil left that night, didn't return to the training ground, didn't answer our calls, I knew something had broken. And we can't fix that part anymore. The ARMY was divided into two camps. Some defended Jimin emotionally, thinking this was just a big misunderstanding that was exaggerated by their mental stress and fatigue. But others demand clarity. Did Jimin really say something that hurt Taeil? If so, what makes Jungkook feel like he has to dismantle everything now? The questions flowed like an unstoppable flood. And HYB? Until now, they have chosen silence. They did not give any official statement, as if they wanted to just let this story flow unfiltered. But there was one moment that really shook. In a separate interview that was later accidentally revealed by one of the internal video editors, Taeil appeared to be sitting alone in an empty room. His face was grim, and when he was asked if he was still close to Jungkook and Jimin, his answer was only one. "I wish the three of us could talk again, but after what Jimin said, I doubt it." What did Jimin really say? Why is it that none of them have revealed the truth? Does this have to do with an incorrectly sent private message? Or is there a hidden meaning behind those words? And why does Jungkook look so angry and disappointed? One of the biggest clues comes from their schedule activity logs. In a calendar that was accidentally leaked via a personal assistant upload, it is seen that after the night of the argument, Jimin sent a 12-second voice message to the group chat of the three of them. The message was named Explanation, but strangely, the message was instantly deleted in just a matter of minutes. Why removed? What's in the tape? Many fans believe that such a message is the key. There is also a theory that Jimin is actually trying to fix things, but his way is misunderstood by Taeil and Jungkook. But what left ARMY speechless was Jungkook's expression when talking about broken trust. It no longer sounds like BTS's cheery magne. He sounded like someone who was broken not because of love, but because of a friendship for which he risked everything. And Jimin? He finally spoke up, but not through a press conference. He wrote only one sentence in Weverse. "I want time back to the day before I spoke." One sentence that made thousands of soldiers cry. One sentence that hangs full of hurt, regret, and mystery. Now all eyes are on one thing. Will BTS discuss this openly? Or are they going to let this be a deep wound that never heals? Will Jimin apologize directly? And will Jungkook and Taeil be able to forgive each other after everything that happened? No one knows for sure. But one thing is clear, the world of K-pop is no longer the same. The trio, once a symbol of harmony and strength, has now turned into an emotional puzzle that pierces the heart. And when the cameras stop shooting, who's gonna stay? Are you ready to hear the full truth? But why did Jungkook just say it now? Why wait until the quarrel gets bigger and leaves wounds in the hearts of all parties involved? The question was further echoed when the video was spread and analyzed by thousands of fans in less than 2 hours after it was leaked. Even some ARMY who have been following BTS's development for a long time called Jungkook's confession a betrayal of silence. But is it really betrayal? Or is it honesty that has been kept for too long? And even more puzzling, what Jungkook meant when he said, "The three of us are not on the same side anymore since Jimin said that." That? What does it mean? Simple words, but heavy, as if their whole friendship rests on one sentence that has not yet been revealed. Some fans suspect this has to do with their respective solo projects. There are those who attribute it to the last training session postponed unilaterally by Jimin. But what is even more surprising is the allegation that the sentence it was thrown in Jimin's unstable emotional state. "I just want to be honest." But it turns out, my honesty hurts the people I want to protect the most. Jimin wrote on Instagram story that lasted only 30 minutes before being deleted. Is that a form of apology? Or is it just a desperate statement from someone who feels misunderstood? Meanwhile, Taeil has yet to give any statement. But his silence was the most painful. ARMY who used to see V being full of charisma and witty expressions are now only treated to silence. And silence is more stressful than an explosion. Other documentary footage accidentally leaked by internal staff who are now rumored to have been laid off. It appears the last interaction between the three before things got worse. Jungkook seemed to approach Jimin as he said quietly, "Why did you say that in front of others?" Jimin's face instantly changed. He turned to Taeil, who was standing behind him. No one answered. But the silence was enough to illustrate that the sentence was not only a mistake, but also a betrayal of trust, a sentence delivered in front of others. Who was the witness of the event? ARMY is now starting to link it to a joint training schedule ahead of BTS's 12th debut anniversary, which is rumored to bring them together on one stage for the first time since the military hiatus. But that moment failed to happen. There's no official explanation. Only lineup changes and the announcement that some members are focusing on mental health and individual projects. Is it really all about the project? Or is HYB hiding something deeper? Some fans began to question the transparency of the agency. They asked, why did HYB let Jungkook's confession video spread without clarification? Why was there not a single press conference or even a written statement from the official staff? And the most puzzling, why did they actually release Jimin's solo comeback teaser a few days after the video leaked? Is this a cruel media strategy? Or is it precisely an emergency measure to muffle the scandal by diverting public attention? While the world thundered with conspiracy theories and wild speculation, there was one other surprise that stunned the ARMY. In Jungkook's impromptu live stream in the middle of the night, he not only played a snippet of a new song, but also mentioned Jimin's name. Not in an angry tone, but with a hoarse voice and a blank look, he simply said, "I wish she knew I didn't want to lose two best friends at once." That sentence hit deeper than anything. For the first time, fans saw Jungkook's fragile side, which is usually covered by professionalism and stage spirit. He looks like someone who is lost in an inner conflict that has been buried for too long. And more than that, he sounds tired. Very tired at a few minutes after the live ended, the names Jungkook Live and Jimin HYB were ranked first trending worldwide. But not only because of the content, but rather due to the fact that some fans claimed to see Jungkook shedding tears right after mentioning Jimin's name. Does this mean he still holds out hope to fix everything? Or is it a veiled farewell cry? Not yet finished the shock of the public. The next day, another surprise appeared. Taeil shows up at the airport to a mysterious filming location. He was seen wearing a black jacket. No one predicted that Jimin's silence would turn into a storm. 5 days after Jungkook's confession rocked cyberspace, Jimin finally showed up. But not in the form of a press conference, not in a live broadcast, and not in the usual social media uploads. He appeared in a short 17-minute documentary that was secretly uploaded to Bangtan, without notice, without teaser, without explanation. The title is simple: The Things I Left Unsaid. And from the first second the video was played, millions of ARMY instantly fell silent. Jim sat alone in a dark room. No background music. No production team. Only the camera, the dim light, and the sound of his heavy breathing. I know I can't turn back time, but I also can't keep hiding from the truth, she said quietly, almost in a whisper. He then took a deep breath, as if trying to hold back something that was about to break. At the time, I didn't mean to hurt anyone, but I'm angry. I feel like I'm not considered. And in that anger, I said something that even I myself didn't fully believe. This sentence became a turning point. Jimin's eyes began to glaze over, and for a moment he was silent. His hands were shaking, and as he continued, millions of watching hearts trembled. All I said at the time was, "You'll never be able to understand Taeil the way I do." I said that in front of Jungkook, and I know it destroyed him. What do those words mean? How could such a short sentence lead to a rupture of many years of relationship? But for anyone who has ever felt friendship, love, or a sense of belonging, words are like knives. Jimin did not just convey an opinion. It compares. It's demeaning. It's cornering. And he did it in front of the person who had always protected them both. The ARMY's reaction was divided. There are those who cry with Jimin, realizing that he is just an ordinary human being who is depressed by expectations. But there are also those who are angry, questioning why Jimin feels the need to compare two people who are equally dear to him. But one thing became clear. Jimin was sorry. I lost two people I love the most because of one sentence. And it will haunt me forever, he says before the camera slowly darkens. While the video became the #1 talk across global platforms, an even more surprising thing happened in an unexpected location. BTS, old rehearsal studio in Gangnam. A fan living nearby photographed the three, Jimin, Taeil, and Jungkook, exiting the same building at about the same time.
No smiles, no hugs.
But they were in the same place, and that was enough to make the world stop for a moment. Was it a peaceful meeting? Did HYB force them to reunite for the sake of saving Citra? Or did they arrange the moment themselves, without anyone's permission? An internal source who did not want to be named said that the three had indeed communicated privately in recent days. But only this time they agreed to deal with it together, although they did not yet know what would happen next. And that night, something unexpected happened again. Jungkook uploaded one photo. Only a silhouette of three people stood facing the light at the end of the rehearsal corridor.
No captions, no hashtags.
The ARMY knows. They know this is a form of recognition and also hope, but is everything done? No. This is precisely where it all starts again, because the next day, HYB released an official statement that BTS OT7 will be making a surprise stage comeback on the occasion of their 12th debut anniversary. And yes, all the members, including Jimin, who has just completed his military service, will be performing together. But that's not what makes fans' hearts beat faster. What made it all the more dramatic were the last words in the announcement. For the first time, they will be performing a new song called Dua Langit Sadaluka. The song was written by Jimin, Jungkook, and Taeil. One song, written together. After all the injuries, after all the tears, did I ask this a form of reconciliation? Or is this song just the end of an era and the beginning of a new direction? In a limited exclusive interview conducted 3 days ahead of the comeback, Jimin finally explained the intent of the